So, guys, phones away, notebook out. Thank you. So today we are going to start putting together like all that analysis you guys have been doing over how you find what the domain is and factoring everything and factoring from the top and the bottom, what happens when there's one on the top and the bottom, visually what does that look like on a graph. We're going to actually graph rational functions, and part of that I need to show you how to do them on Delta. So I want to do a few examples just on paper, and Laura, if you want to either turn this direction. And there will be a feedback card on Friday where you're going to have to do some graphs accurately without a calculator, without a graphing calculator. And let's see, Wednesday next week are retakes. If they'll be done in class, I will send you a Google form where you can fill out what you want to retake. And you need to do quiz corrections, which I should hand these out. You need to do corrections for the things that you want to retake. You can retake one feedback card and one quiz. So to do corrections, you need your original quiz. And don't change the original quiz. You need to be able to show me what you did the first time and why that was wrong. Like, you don't need to give me words of why that was wrong. Just I need to see what went wrong before, and that you did go back and correct things and that they're not right. Yeah.
Oh, I came in late that one day where you handed out like the test from.
All right, I'll look for it. Sarah, you didn't get one?
Oh yeah, I should just do them. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and other things that are coming up next week. So feedback card this Friday, overall unit test next Friday for the whole, like all things graphing rational functions and working with rational functions, finding vertical asymptotes. So you can sit behind Eden, please. Eden, say hi. Okay, so this is what's coming up. Can you guys write this warm-up down? Today's date is 10/17. Write the problem down, problem down. Which is given the function f(x) is 3x plus 1 over x minus 2. I want you to tell me all of the properties that you know. Okay, so David, do we need to factor?
No.
No, it's already done? Okay. Nana, given that stuff, what's the domain?
I'll say negative infinity to 2 and 2 to.
Perfect. Mara, what would be the coordinate of any of the holes? Why do you know that there are none?
Because you don't cross anything out.
So there's no matching factor. There's no matching factor in the numerator and denominator to cross out to become a whole, so nothing. Eden, what's the equation of the vertical asymptotes, if I have it? She says x equals 2. Milea, why is she correct?
Because of the identity is
This denominator
Zero.
didn't cancel, so set that to 0 and solve to get the equation. Perfect. Okay, Ahmed, what about the hard one? What's the equation of the horizontal asymptote, if I have any?
It's gonna be 0.
Okay, that's just a number and it's not an equation. Sarah?
Yeah.
Y equals 0, Will?
I think it's y equals 3 because the x's are the same, like coefficient, and then we just put it over, it's 3 over 1.
Okay, top heavy, bottom heavy equal. Highest exponent anywhere is x to the first, so Will is right. The x to the first, take the coefficients in front of them. There's no number written in front of that one at the bottom, but it's implied to be a 1. So it's y equals 3. If you just wrote 3 or you just wrote 0, that's not right. Peter, how do I find y-intercepts?
you said the x equals 0.
Set x to 0, so what's the y-intercept?
-1/2.
So the coordinate, x, you said x is 0, so y, what's left over is -1/2. Serene, how do I find x-intercepts?
Set the whole equation to 0.
So the whole equation is 0. Okay, what do I do now?
Oh, it's going to be only the 3x plus 1 left. So you just do the equation.
So the x-intercept is -1/3, 0. Okay, so we've been doing this for weeks now. Are you guys okay with identifying domain? Here,
Never mind.
so identifying domain, coordinates of poles, asymptotes, and intercepts. So, make some space, make a grid for yourself. You know, sorry, it's kind of glaring. So this is the same problem that we just worked with. So, first thing in graphing these, what we would do is, I'm gonna put in that vertical asymptote that Eden told us about, at x equals 2. So it's a dashed line, vertical, x equals 2. Monica, how do I graph y equals 3? What does that kind of line look like? Okay, so she says this. Those are my asymptotes. Tycho, how do I plot the coordinate 0, -1/2? Starting at the origin, do I go left or right?
For the
Y-intercept,
go down
down
a half.
1/2. Okay. Nick, how do I plot -1/3, 0? So it's kind of like right here, right here. And clearly these are kind of approximations, right? Okay. So, I don't know. I would like a little bit more accuracy. I only have 2 coordinates and an asymptote. So I'm gonna find another coordinate. So, what's a what's an easy-ish number to plug in? There's any suggestion? I wanted some other X value this direction.
3.
I wanted it in the negative, so.
-3.
-3? Okay. When I plug in -3, Chris, what do I get?
Negative.
Plugging in -3 to this, so it's -9 plus 1 over -5, so -8 over -5, which is more than 1, more than 2, more than 3, what is it? It's like 1 and something. Okay, so it's not a great number, but going to -1, 2, 3, it's bigger than 1 because the top is bigger than 5, but less than 2 because the top is less than 10. So 1 and something. Okay, so what this graph is going to look like, it's going to go through those dots and then it's going to wrap towards the asymptotes. I need to find the other side of the equation. And Ferris had said earlier, he picked the positive number x equals 3, which was a good idea. Maya, when I plug in +3, what do I get?
10 over 5, so 2. Or 10 over...
10 over 1, which is
Yeah.
off of our graph. It's up here somewhere. Okay, so I need something that's going to make a smaller number. What x? Yeah?
Maybe 1.
Well, 1 is in this side. So I need
Oh.
something on this side of my asymptote. The asymptote is at x equals 2. So maybe 1, 2,
4 over 3.
maybe picking 4. Okay, so picking 4, I have 12 plus 1 divided by 2. What's 12 plus 1 divided by 2? 6.5. Okay, so plotting that, it's up here. Oops. So it's gonna look like that, okay? So not the best, it didn't work well with the graph that I have here, but yes.
It kind of looks like it's almost like just reflected over that point of intersection where the two asymptotes like meet right at like 2, 4. Like, could you just like reflect it over?
I
like-
would not reflect anything. Find actual coordinates. So a lot of the information that we knew in advance helped really guide what the function's gonna look like. And then I had 2 exact coordinates. I'm gonna get a couple more on each side of the asymptote and then graph it. Okay. Hold on, not this one. I need to make sure that, okay. Write this problem down. So factor it, find all the properties, and let's see if we can graph it. Okay, so the question is, if it's bottom heavy, because I have a square in the bottom and an X on the top, Chris is asking, is it y equals 0? What's the rule? Top heavy, bottom heavy equal. He says it is bottom heavy, and I agree. And he's asking, is the horizontal asymptote y equals 0? Undefined,
0.
0, well, class is torn. Two say it's undefined and two say it's y equals 0. Serene, what is it?
0.
Y equals 0. Because as you go to infinity, we're going to end up with something divided by a bigger and bigger number. Vanessa?
How'd you get 3/4 as the or as like the one?
Okay, all right. So do we agree with how I factor?
Yeah.
Okay. So in factoring, x cannot be -3 and x cannot be +1, so that's why I took those out of the domain. But Vanessa, now that I've factored, I'm going to actually remove the factor from the top and the bottom, and I'm gonna look at the leftover. What x value did I remove? When x is 1. So take that 1 and plug it into the leftovers, not the original, but the leftovers. So 3 over 1 plus 3, when x is 1, the y value wanted to be 3/4. Okay? All right, because it was bottom heavy, we got the y equals 0. Y-intercept, when x is 0, I'm left with a +1. What's the x-intercept? Will?
I put 3, 0, because you're left with, or, wait, yeah, you looked in the numerator for it, right? And it's,
Okay, so what Serene said earlier was, well, it's when y equals 0, and he said the equation is 0 and we solve for when the top is 0. Yes, but there was no hole in that one. Chris, what's happening here?
I said it was 9 because it would just be 0 equals 3, so there's no x.
Okay, so Serene, be careful of this. When we're finding the x-intercepts, look at the reduced stuff, just the leftovers. So as Chris just said, well, when does this equal 0? When does 3 equal 0? In this space, I don't believe that it ever does. So there is no x-intercept. All right,
Did you to find the y-intercept? Did you like? How did you? I don't understand.
y-intercept is when x is 0. So all these x's became 0, so I have -3 over -3.
You have to use the original equation.
It's easier, but using the factored one, plugging in 0 here, 3 over 3 still becomes 1, right? All right, so graphing this, yes, Vanessa?
So I understand like the top heavy, bottom heavy stuff. Like I understand like when it's top heavy and bottom heavy, but like I don't get like what that means in terms of finding like the horizontal asymptote. Like how does that?
Okay, if they're equal, we're gonna take the coefficients of those equal. Like if this was a squared up there, it would have been y equals 3. If there's more of the exponent things in the bottom. Yes. Okay, how does this okay, that's fine. Okay. I was answering something. Oh, bottom heavy. Highest exponent anywhere is squared. How many squareds are, writing in white. How many squareds are up top? 0. How many squareds are in the bottom? The coefficient was a 1. With 0 divided by 1, it's 0. One way to do it. Okay, so, sorry, but I want to graph this now. Vertical asymptote at x equals -3. Can you guys graph it as well? Make a sketch on your paper. X equals -3 and a y equals 0. And the point of asymptotes is they tell us how it's going to like bend and curve. Okay, y-intercept is 0, 1. And x-intercept, I don't have any. Okay, So I need to get some more coordinates on here. Sarah, what's a good X value to pick for this region to the right?
I don't know.
Looking at it, I have X equals 0, I have that coordinate right here. I need a few this way or a few that way. What are good X values that are on this side of the X asymptote, or the vertical asymptote of X equals -3? Any number bigger than -3.
-2.
Okay, -2. David, plugging in -2, what do I get?
You get so you're plugging in -2 where the X is?
Yeah,
Okay, so. How do you do this?
so 3 times -2 is -6, then -3, and then -2 squared is 4. 2 times -2 is -4. So what do I end up with? -9 over -3, which is -9 divided by -3 is what? 3, +3. So at -2, it goes to 3. And because I know what asymptotes mean, it's gonna like curve towards them. Yes, Peter?
Is there a reason that we're taking from the unsimplified version rather than the simplified version?
No. But that reminds me, I didn't do something. I need to plot the coordinate of the hole. The coordinate of the hole is right there. And I should fix that. Yes,
I don't know if I'm right, I might have forgotten it, but I thought that, once you had a hole, did it like not go into the domain, or?
we removed it from the domain.
Oh,
X cannot be equal to 1. But if you look at the graph that I've drawn, it goes super, 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 super close. And it just kind of skips over it. Milael, I need numbers on this side of my vertical asymptote. So numbers smaller than X equals -3.
-4.
Okay, so -4, plugging in -4, that's -12 minus 3 over 16 minus 8 minus 3. Okay, what does that come out to be? -15 over 5. So what's -15 divided by 5? -3. So this guy at -4, we're at -3. I should pick more numbers, but it's gonna look like that. Okay. I wanna make sure I get to show you guys how to do this stuff on Delta Math, which is part of your homework. I wanna do one more example. Here. Maya, can you factor the top for us?
It would be X plus 4 and X plus 2.
Karis, can you factor the denominator?
It would be x minus 2,
multiplies to be -4 and adds to be +3.
It would be x, it would be x minus 4, and then x plus 1.
Okay, if we do that,
I know, sorry.
the signs are
Can you come back to
backwards.
me? This is reversed.
So the signs were backwards, so you're close. X plus 4, x minus 1. Okay, Vanessa, what does that make the domain? What values do I immediately need to throw out?
So negative infinity to -4, and then -4 to 1, and then 1 to positive.
Perfect. The next thing, Monica, that we look for are the equations of the holes. What is the x value where the hole is going to be?
Negative.
So I hear 4, I hear -4.
It's -4, negative, and then plug in -4 to the rest.
So where does x plus 4 equal 0? That's the x value where the hole is going to
Is
be.
it -2
2
or 3?
to 5.
So
Or -2 or 5, yeah.
plugging in the -4 into the leftovers.
I'll say that.
The leftovers were these guys. So at -4 plus 2 over -4 minus 1. -2 over -5, 2 over, like, what is it?
Just 2.
Just +2 over 5. The negatives cancel out. So, I don't know. I know the coordinates, so I'm going to plot 1, 2, 3, 4, -4 2/5. Because I don't want to forget it like I did on the last example. Nana, where's my vertical asymptote? Or do I have 2?
I'll say X.
X equals 1, and that's the only one. Fernando, why is that the only one? Tori, why is it the only one? Why don't I also have a vertical asymptote at x equals -4?
Because that's cool.
Because that one was already taken. That one became a hole, so it's gone. So x equals 1 is my only vertical asymptote. Yes. Eden, do I have a horizontal asymptote?
X, Y equals what?
Yes, at y equals 1. Perfect. So top heavy, bottom heavy, it's equal. I have an x squared up top and x squared on the bottom, and they both have a coefficient of 1. So y equals 1 is my horizontal asymptote. Joey, how do I find y-intercepts?
Make X equal to 0.
Okay, do I have to use this original equation? Do I use the leftovers, or does it matter?
Leftovers.
It doesn't matter, you can use either one. So the y-intercept is when x is 0. So what's the y value? Is it 2 or -2? -2. All right, so plotting that one, 0, -2. Do I fill it in or do I leave it open? Fill it in. It does hit that spot. Okay, x-intercepts. Do I have any? Yes, where? Vanessa, where?
I was gonna ask a question.
Oh, okay.
So it's still like, I still just don't get like the top one, like top heavy, bottom heavy, so, cause this one was even like, and the coefficients for both, like 1, like, if they were even, but the coefficients weren't 1, would it just be a fraction, or like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, x-intercepts. Sarah,
X-intercept is -2.
it's going to be
-2.
when that's 0, which is where you got the x value. So -2, comma 0. And this is, I mean, it matters which way it goes. -2, comma 0. And it's filled in. So this graph, this side of the graph, is gonna go like that. I do need coordinates on the other side. What x values are good ones to choose?
X.
So the vertical asymptote was x equals 1, so 2, 3, 4, something like that. So plug it into, do I go to the original or can I use the leftovers? Leftovers. So 2 plus 2 over 2 minus 1. So 4, so the coordinate 2, 4. Plug it in 3, I get 5 halves. And just because, 4 plus 2, so 6 over 3, which is 2. And it's going to look like that. Okay, I need to show you how your homework's going to look and how to use it. So this is what the questions are going to say. So can you guys look up? Don't get the computer up quite yet. So they want you to plot all of these features for this equation. All right, so you might need to write things down. But here, where's the vertical asymptote going to be? 7 divided by 2. Serene, how big is 7 divided by 2? Is it bigger than 1, bigger than 2?
It's bigger than 1.
It is bigger than 1. Is it bigger than 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so vertical asymptote, it's 7 over 2 is 3.5, right? So I clicked the button vertical asymptote and it made this vertical line show up. So I am going to put it at 3 over 2, like a line between the 3 and the 4. Now if I click horizontal asymptote, it shows me this guy. So Zachary, where is the horizontal asymptote going to be? Zachary, looking at the equation, where's the horizontal asymptote? Is it top heavy, bottom heavy, or equal? Equal. So what's the coefficient on the top and the coefficient on the bottom? Vanessa, what do you think? This is the one that you didn't like.
1 over 2.
1 over 2. So it's going to be y equals a half. So I'm going to put that here. Do I have any holes? No. What's the y-intercept? -3 over 7. Because Ferris plugged in 0 for the things and those constants hanging off. So if you click y-intercept, a dot is suddenly going to appear on this, and I need to move it down. -3 over 7. Is that on the top part of the graph or the bottom? Bottom. And is it less than -1, or above -1? Okay, so there's the y-intercept. Do I have any x-intercepts? At -3. So if I click the x-intercept, a dot's going to suddenly appear, and I'm going to put it there. And those are all the features that I know, and I'm going to say plot. And it's using all of the things that I said, and it says, okay, here you go, and yay, we got it right. Enough to be irritating, okay? So that's your homework. Can you start it now?